put the work in and try to be the best at your craft first, so you set yourself up for success. I think it's super important to speak out your goals, write them down, and things start moving from there. There's more action and more accountability. You have to spend money to make money. If anyone tries to cut that corner, unfortunately, it doesn't work. You've invested hundreds of thousands of dollars, especially in this type of business. You've got lasers that are $200,000 a piece, and you've got multiple of them. You don't have a choice to just give up.
Okay, guys, so this is a third call that I'm having with one of our clinic owners that we work with. Her name is Jara. She has been partnering with us for almost a year, just a little bit over. And, you know, she's been in the game a lot longer than the two last calls that I've had. So I set this call up specifically to kind of pick her brain and understand, you know, getting into entrepreneurship and you know, being in the industry for a long time. So if you don't mind, Jara, welcome.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me today. As Tarek said, my name is Jara. I'm from Edmonton, Alberta, here in Canada. I've had my clinic for almost 6 years now, and we opened 1 month before COVID hit, so that was super fun. Yeah, went through a lot of challenges, but we're still kicking. So I'm happy to be on the call and answer questions you have.
No, welcome. I mean, let's just start all the way from the beginning. What were you doing before opening your clinic?
So I guess the beginning of like my adult career, I was actually in dental. I did that for 8 years. And oddly enough, it kind of helped me in this whole world because my boss in that atmosphere, he was an amazing businessman, a very good treatment provider, and I learned a lot from him. When I decided to move over to this aesthetic space, I actually started off from my home doing permanent makeup and eyelash extensions.
Well,
And got into lasers and chemical peels, and then evolved into the med spa space. My now business partner, he actually delivered my first 2 kids, and that's how we met, and we decided to go into business together. So that's how Encore was born.
well,
Nope.
that's yeah, no, that's good. I mean, we'll get into the name and maybe the idea of where that came from, but this is a question that I always get asked with like clinic owners that reach out to us that aren't really at the stage that they could even think about doing like marketing. They always like, you know, wonder what kind of investment or what it takes to just start. Because you said you started with, you know, at your home, like treatments that you don't really do as much as you're doing now.
Yeah.
So like, what did you need at the beginning to like really get it going? Like, was it, you know, from everything?
Honestly, working from home, it just gave me the opportunity to have a very low overhead and just bank away my cash. And I got started in that industry at a good time. It was new at the time. And I would do big courses actually to really supplement my income. I would train people at hotels. And yeah, I wrote down a 5-year plan eventually just because I discovered a passion that I didn't know what was there. When I got into lasering and the skin stuff, I built my clientele over 5 years. So it didn't feel as scary to jump into leasing a space and doing a big build out and investing in equipment. But I did it slowly because, you know, you have to start somewhere. That way it didn't feel as big of a risk. You know, you have a clientele already set in place. So, and then having a business partner too, that helps financially as well.
Nice.
So I think just making it a little less risky just felt more comfortable for us. So that we were, when we open our doors to the public, it didn't feel as scary just because we already had a few clients already booking up.
No, makes sense. Makes sense.
Yeah.
When you know, like just opened the doors, like soft launch all the way to hard launch, was it immediately hitting the ground running?
Yes, we were fully booked.
Okay. And like nonstop?
Yes. And we were only open for a month and COVID shut us down, but very grateful for that because it paid our bills while we were shut down.
Sure. And I mean, not everyone can relate to that though, where they're hitting the ground running. So what did you do maybe to have that happen?
So that was when I knew I was going to be opening this space, I really focused on my marketing and getting a really solid clientele excited about what we were doing. So Instagram, Facebook, content frequently, like 3 times a day content, just to get people excited about what we're doing. And then how we launched, we gave VIP bags for the first 20 clients that booked on opening day. And that really got people excited too. And that's what kind of enticed people to book.
Right. And obviously, I mean, how many people was there internally when you opened? Because you said you had a partner and yourself.
Yeah. So my partner actually wasn't working that day. We had hired a nurse and we trained her in London, UK, just because I find really good injectables there. So we sent her to London before we opened, just so that way we made sure she had really good training. And then, yeah, just had her work kind of posted beforehand. We were trickling
Okay.
some before and afters, but we made sure that we had models too. So we would have a portfolio
Sure.
to show people. And
Okay.
that way we had content of hers before we opened as well. So that way we would get her booked up. And so it's just myself and my nurse injector. So I was doing the aesthetic side of things and she was doing the injectable aesthetics.
Right. It seems like it was very smooth from like idea to lease to open. Like maybe that might not be the same scenario for other people. Did anything happen from like the first month of being open to, you know, pondering on the idea, like going through a website and trying to find a spot to lease? Was there any kind of like hurdles that happened in that kind of time frame?
Just the build out took a lot longer. So it's something that you always plan an
Yeah.
extra 6 months on top of what your build out, what they're saying. But
Right.
honestly, to get to from idea to this, it wasn't just instant, right? It was, I actually wrote down a 5-year plan in my iPhone.
Okay.
And I tell people to do this. You speak it and you write it down. Literally
Mhm.
1 month later, my now business partner approached me and said, "Hey, I'm thinking about opening a med spa. Would you want to be a part of that?" And it was the
Right.
weirdest because I had just wrote that 5-year plan in my phone and it fell into my
Sure.
lap. So for me, I was like, my dream just fell into my lap. Wasn't sure if I was financially quite ready to do that. Spoke to my husband and I said, let's list our house so we can do this. And he was like, sure.
Wow.
Didn't end up having to sell the house, which is great. But
Okay.
yeah, that's kind of how everything happened. And it was
Sure.
the weird scenario, but I think it's super important to speak out your goals, write them down,
Yeah.
and things start moving from there. There's more action and more accountability.
No, people don't. I'm going to take my AirPods out. People don't actually understand how powerful your word is. So that's why self-doubt and saying all that other stuff about yourself is detrimental. If you really like say, oh, I don't know if I can do this, or I don't know where am I going to get this. Like you could speak that into existence if you start thinking like that.
Well, my
So
biggest downfall is imposter syndrome, though, and I don't think that's ever going to leave me.
that's good.
Unfortunately.
I don't think I've ever spoken to a successful entrepreneur that doesn't have a bit of, delusional reality and warped in their brain. You know, they're
Yeah.
always thinking like this is how it's going to go. When did you start trusting the process? Like saying like, oh shit, like this is my life now. Like this is all I do.
Well, when COVID hit, honestly, because we were forced to shut down, things were going really well. So I was very grateful and blessed with that. But that was like a really big kick in the pants because we were actually shut down from, I think, March to June.
Okay.
But again, this is like a horseshoe moment where we had free rent until June because we had just opened. So I'm grateful COVID happened when it did.
Yeah.
Because we reopened in June. It was just kind of all fell into place really nicely. So we had an opportunity to now, okay, we have money in the bank. That's going to tide us over until June. Now what? And then we were open in June again for a few months. And also like the Zoom effect really messed with people. So we were really busy when we reopened because people didn't want to feel ugly on camera.
No,
So-
I mean that makes sense.
And we
Well-
were very active on social media while we were shut down. I think that
Okay.
was a lot of people went offline and shut down and shut off.
Right.
I pivoted too. I was really heavy on selling skincare and dropping it off at people's houses and selling magnetic lashes for people who had lash extensions because they didn't want to have no
Yes.
lash. So yeah, we pivoted and did what we could in the moment.
Okay.
Yeah, and just kept hustling any way that we could, I guess, too.
And I mean, I don't want to make this cutthroat because I really want to know what your real thoughts on certain things are. Because I have conversations with clinic owners all the time that, aren't built like that,
Yeah.
where they would let something like COVID crush them. If you were speaking to someone who, really wants to start a business, and let's just say a lull happens, like a 3-month lull where you're closed or even longer, like give a short snippet of like, if you don't do this, this isn't going to work. You're not an entrepreneur. This isn't going to work for you. Like what kind of mentality or kind of person do they have to be to actually say, like we got to stick with this?
Well, you have to just literally hit the floor running and not give up. And you have to pivot, like I just said, right? You have to find other ways and other means and think outside the box.
Right.
Because otherwise, but I find most business owners are like that. You know what I mean? Unless they're new and they just weren't really put a lot of thought into what it looks like to open a business and it scared the crap out of them. They're like, this is not for me. And I'm sure that happens all the time too. But generally speaking, I feel like people who have a business mindset, they will generally find a way. This is your livelihood, right? It's not just, we'll see what happens. You've invested hundreds of thousands of dollars, especially in this type of business. You've got lasers that are $200,000 a piece and you've got multiple of them. You don't have a choice to just give up.
Sure.
So you think outside the box and do what other people aren't doing and try to find a different way, or hire a marketing team.
Perhaps. I mean, that's also a good idea.
Yeah.
There's a lot of lukewarm entrepreneurs out there that don't have the
Yeah.
same mindset as you, honestly, that like maybe this is a good video for them for a kick up the butt, that they can kind of take that and kind of say, okay, I need to kind of change my ways or viewpoint on things.
You have to spend money to make money. If anyone tries to cut that corner, unfortunately, it doesn't work. Like, people invest in really crappy technology. You're not going to get good results. People will stop. That will dwindle. If you cheap out on things, certain things, most things,
Right.
it's going to show.
Right. Do you have anything that you would want to have said in this call that I maybe, I know I'm asking you a lot of questions, but is there anything in particular that you think we could kind of bounce off of each other and talk about?
Yeah, there's a lot of dark sides. So, one, choosing your partners properly.
Right.
I've already gone through a corporate divorce.
Oh, I remember that. I remember that.
Year 3, corporate divorce. Thankfully, my other business partner and myself, we communicate extremely well. And it's not it's the original one from.
I remember. I won't drop any names. No names.
Yeah, no names. But yeah, that sucked. And it is a marriage, so you have to treat it like that. And if one partner isn't reciprocating that same respect, it's done. If there's no trust, it's done. It's literally like a marriage. So treat it as such. And also choosing your team properly and knowing when to cut the toxic ones out, because they bring the whole morale down. They bring the whole team down. And over the last 6 years, we've been burnt a lot. So, and it's my fault always, because I let it fester a little too long. I like to see the best in people. So I kind of turn a blind eye sometimes to the toxicity side of things. I try to see, the good in people, but it does bite me in the butt a lot.
Do you feel like the longer you stay in this industry, or just in business in general, that like you'll start becoming more cutthroat with like your decision making? Or have you already got to that stage where you're like pretty much?
Unfortunately, yes. And it sucks because it's just not my personality type. And that's been the most challenging thing for me. Right. Because I don't like to have enemies. I like everyone to be happy. Right. I like to get along, but that's just not the reality of things, unfortunately. And you can't control other personality types.
Right.
So it's like being a parent again. And
yeah, of course.
You have to learn different communication styles. And also, I think if you're not strong in that area like myself, hiring a manager that you can delegate that off to is important.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, there's different archetypes in business, but I feel like, because you are like head honcho, you have a feel for it all, that like you probably will express your opinion more and more quickly now that you're further down the line in your business.
Yeah.
But like, how do you feel now that, like, how many people are on your team? You don't want me asking? I know
there's 7 of us total.
And how do you feel that like 7 people rely on you? Well, 6 people, not you, rely on like you to pay them out every single month. Has that ever been an issue?
No, it hasn't. But on an employer side of things, as we all know, it sucks because people don't realize the amount of overhead and everything that it goes into. And it's just, I find sometimes the entitlement is a little bit crappy. Listen, and I think entitlement was a bad word because all my girls are really good, but it's not entitlement. It's just being naive into this side, right? And having been in an employee's shoes before and also now in employer's shoes, I do try to be very mindful of all aspects of things. And I do believe paying your staff well is important. So I do believe, compared to industry standard, we do pay very well.
If they deserve it.
Yes. So that's the thing too. And like something I've learned over the years and something because I keep in contact with my old employer as well a lot. The biggest thing is if you put into my company your all, I'm going to treat you with like gold. And
Mm.
unfortunately, if you're just a bare minimum type, you're not going to get the same perks. And there's a lot of people that you have to treat everyone evenly. I disagree with that.
Sure.
I think you need to reward the people that are literally treating your business like it's their own,
Yeah.
because those are very rare to find. And unfortunately, yeah, the ones that do bare minimum usually don't last anyways,
Sure.
or
A-
they won't
A-
get a raise either.
A players, they come far and wide. You got to put them from London.
Yeah, and usually, and you have to be careful too in that space. Those players, they could easily just go off and do their own thing.
Big time. So do you think there's like a realistic vision that you have to kind of have, that you're constantly motivating them, or is it like right from the get-go, like you just need them to be aligned with your goals? Or what do you think?
They're very hard to come by, and I do find that you have to treat them like gold, because what's stopping them from doing their own thing? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I was an A player for a business, and he tells me that every day still to this day that I was the one that got away.
Right.
But not in this space, right? That was in dental, but yeah, those people will generally potentially go off and do their own things. So you got to treat them like gold.
I agree. I mean, it's okay to be number 2 next in line beside you, though. You know, like some people, like, I don't know, they just need to, sometimes it's just they need to feel something out first, you know,
Yeah,
find out
definitely.
that they're not maybe successful in that field, and then they're a good COO rather than a CEO or something, like next in line, and there's no shame in that.
Definitely.
And maybe some people watching this could be like thinking, you know, I could learn everything I need to learn if I help this particular business for 5 years. You know, like
Yeah.
there's a lot of young people that are probably going to watch this that are going to say, you know, I'm 21, just about to get my, you know, license, or I'm just finishing nursing school, and I want to do my own thing. When maybe they should actually learn under someone's wing. Like a lot of people think, oh, I got my license, you know, like I worked in hospitality for six months. I've saved up like $5,000. Like, let me go lease a spot and let me see what I can do. Sometimes that's not usually the best course of action, even though that might, like, that's risky, and you know, a lot of people succeed. I think you know, sometimes it's okay to be number 2 and learn from someone like yourself or a more seasoned entrepreneur, be on the thing for 5 years. And if they're honest with that, like, hey, look, I really want to work for you. I want to give you at least 2-3 years of you know, my life, and I potentially want to do my own thing in the future. You know, like that's something that I have no problem with anyone on my team telling me.
So I think in that sense, yes, but having a really solid contract. Like I am all for, you know, sharing my knowledge and everything like that, but having a solid contract in place, because again, you have to protect your livelihood. If you have this giant client base and then you have someone poaching clients after, and you've taught them everything you know, it's risky as well, right? So you still have to, there has to be a fine balance there, or you offer maybe a chunk of your business to them to keep them, and for them as well.
That's a good idea. You know, that's something that we talked about. And because you're in a brick and mortar, maybe, you know, that's a conversation that you'll 100% have to have. With me, you know, it's more online. I would never have to worry about like that issue.
And you're a global space. When it's a local space, it's a bit different for sure. Yeah.
Oh no, 100%. What is, like, I mean, I don't know if you're looking, because it looks like you're very tunnel visioned on your own business, which is good, and I'd actually appreciate if that was the case. But what do you typically see? Because you've been around for 6 years at least, going on to 7, and maybe, you know, for the next 25 years. What have you seen start and like rise and fall in that time in regards to potential competition approaching you in your area?
We're lucky we don't have much in our area currently, which is nice. Honestly, I don't really focus on what other people are doing, and I think that's a big mistake a lot. Like, I think it's important to kind of have an idea, but I think it could be a very fine line where it turns into you're not putting enough energy in your own business and what you're doing, and you're focusing too much on what others are doing.
If you didn't have to deal much with like competition, or you just didn't even look in that aspect, what are like common mistakes you see people that try to start a business like in the med spa or just aesthetics industry in their like first couple of years?
Like really lowballing and really cheapening what we do. Like
Yeah.
we do promotions, don't get me wrong, but we're not doing promotions like $250 for a Morpheus treatment or a radio frequency needling treatment. Like
Right.
that is just it cheapens what we do, and we invest hundreds of thousands of dollars into our machines. Don't do that. And I think that's what will kill people, because you don't get forever clients that way either. You're getting clients that are only shopping for a deal and they will clinic hop.
Right.
And I think,
Do you-
you want to focus on forever clients.
Do you see a lot of clinic hopping? Like, do you see that like yourself?
It happens. It happens once in a while, but honestly, like when we do our promotions, the prices are still juicy, if that makes sense. So it's not really cheapening what we do. It's bringing people in the door and seeing and experiencing us. I think we do something really well where people come to us because they see we have a lot of passion in what we do. We do what we do because we love it, and we love how it makes people feel, and we believe in it. And
Sure.
our team, we get along generally quite well. So I think when patients walk in, they don't feel like a number. When it's a numbers game, yeah, you are going to lose clients, especially when they're paying a premium. You need to make your clients feel like they're a part of a family or a part of something exciting and special.
Sure.
And we do that really well, because it's genuine.
I get you, and it ties in really well to Nick. I don't know if you've seen her video, and well, this video is going to be uploaded 2 weeks from then. She talks a lot about like associating her personal life or just her life as a whole on her socials, that they almost know who you are before they even come in. You know, like they're curious about like, oh, I saw your dog on your story. Like, how is he? You know, at that level. So that's kind of like building a personal level. So it ties in with what you're saying and what she's saying very well and quite nicely.
Yeah, definitely.
If you have any mantras, because you are a manifester, is there anything that like you would stand by, like that you tell yourself on a daily basis?
I don't know. I always just choose to wake up happy. I think that starts the day really good, and it is a choice. So I think that's a good thing when you come to work and you're excited to be there. Yeah, I don't know. Choose happy, I guess. That's my thing.
Good.
It's not anything inspirational, but it's true.
Good. And any quick pieces of advice, like the be all end all nugget of info that like if someone came up to you right now, 21-year-old girl just graduated, wants to do her own business, what would you tell her?
Definitely put the work in and try to be the best at your craft first, so you set yourself up for success. So I think that is super important. And don't be the jack of all trades. You want to be the master of one and then become the master of all of them.
Sure.
Yeah. And do
Nice.
quality work, because patients will see that. But you got to put yourself out there as well.
This call was 10 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm glad.
I really appreciate that conversation, and let's close it off. So you heard it here first, guys. Jara, clinic owner, been in the business space, aesthetic industry specifically for the last 6 years, seems like, and it obviously is working, and she knows what she's talking about. So I'm going to link her Instagram at the top left, and you can definitely reach out to her. Maybe she might respond, but drop her a follow, and she's more than happy to kind of give you guys some insights if you are someone that actually is trying to get into this space. Thank you guys for watching.
Thanks.